This is Taylor Sanzo with MassLive, and today I am joined with social media influencer Dalton DeLima, aka the Proper Masshole, as he goes by on social media. Dalton has accumulated a massive following on his social media pages, posting hilarious content pertaining to Massachusetts and kind of the culture in the state. So, Dalton, thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me on here. This is really, really cool, and love that you're doing this
Yeah,
this feature. This is so awesome.
yeah, we're very excited. And if you're ready, we can kind of just dive into it.
Let's get into it.
Perfect. Okay, so first, to those who are going to be watching this video and aren't sure, tell us a little bit about the persona of Proper Masshole on social media and how you kind of got started with that.
Yeah, absolutely. The proper masshole. It kind of got born out of a little bit of COVID boredom, which I think kind of happened with a lot of the influencers that kind of came out of this era of like content creation. I was just posting videos, kind of bored one day, and I had one video that had a lot of success, and it was kind of driving over the Zachem Bridge in Boston, kind of like an iconic look, and
Hmm.
had the shipping up to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys playing in the background, and it was just like it just worked out really well. I like to do a lot of comedy stuff revolving around Massachusetts and New England. I like to do informational, just kind of like showing like New England is really beautiful, Massachusetts is really beautiful, and I want everybody else to be able to see that. So it's really cool to share that. And just a mix of other things, current events, things that are going on. And recently, I already also started posting some EMS humor because I also work as an EMT on the side. So
Awesome. So what has been, the response from your following? I'm sure, people from Massachusetts love to see their state represented on social media. So what has kind of been like the feedback from fans?
yeah, I mean that's one thing about New Englanders and people from Massachusetts and beyond. Like they really are proud of their home, and it's so cool because I used to do this series where I would rate like different small and large Massachusetts towns, and people would come on and be like, "Oh, that's my town, that's my city, that's so cool," and you have that hometown feeling that comes through, which is really cool. That's been really good. Reception on the comedy has been really awesome too. When it's things that people can really relate to, and I find that when you really strike that nerve, whether it's nostalgia, whether it's like I said, that's my home, like people really really resonate well with that.
And kind of in that like similar vein of people from Massachusetts responding to that, is there something that makes Massachusetts stand apart from other states or even New England as other regions in the country? What is it about this fan base specifically that is just like it?
I mean, you look at like for example our sports. Like
Hmm.
we are always told whenever like either a baseball team comes around, a football team comes around, even in music and concerts and stuff, Boston always has the best crowds and the best people. I mean, we are homebodies, we are a hometown happy people that, maybe we could be a little bit aggressive with the way that we show our love to other people, but we are so proud of where we come from, and that is probably one of the best things ever is pride in where you live and pride in where you come from.
And that, I mean, that's a great point too. Going off of pride, what does it mean to you to have such a platform with a following and people that really are interacting with your stuff? What's that like?
I mean, it's crazy. It really is. Like I would have never if you told me like 3 or 4 years ago before I started doing this that I'd be able to have all the opportunities that I have now, be able to post videos to an app on my phone and people
Hmm.
watch it and get excited for it and follow me. I mean, I would have thought you were crazy. I would have told you were out of your mind. I'm never gonna amount to any of that stuff. But it all just worked out, and it's super super cool. And I've never had an opportunity like this before with anything. So, and I've always ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to kind of post videos and kind of be popular with that stuff. So it was really cool to have that actually come to fruition.
Awesome. So, you're doing this, you're kind of on 5 years since COVID. Now you've amassed to thousands and thousands of followers. Do you have an idea of, what's next for you? Do you hope to keep this momentum going and just continue with posting on social and keeping up like this platform?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to just continue to do this, and ultimately, my goal has always been to kind of shift to this full time.
Hmm.
Right now, it's not really possible, but as things build and get bigger, I would love to be able to just focus on my content and level things up and get things to where I really want them to be. I fully intend to just keep doing this as long as I can. It's one of those things where when you're a social media influencer or a content creator, you don't really know when things are going to stop. So you
Hmm.
just kind of just keep pushing until you hit a wall or something happens.
So something that I'm curious about too is, like obviously anything happens when you're a social media creator or a content creator, an influencer. What is kind of like the craziest thing you've encountered, or if any like memory comes to mind? I'd really like to know about what it's like to, be an influencer. Is there anything that stands out?
I really think that one of the coolest things is I also play in a band, in a few
Yeah.
bands, and I've gone on tour. And we
Hmm.
were on tour last October. This was kind of a recent thing, and we were in, it was either Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or one of those Midwest cities that we were stopping in. And not only did people know us from the band, but somebody knew me from on TikTok, like
Oh,
in
that's
a
cool.
completely different state. Like, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just like
yeah.
one of the coolest things. We were just kind of sitting around, and then the same thing happened. I went to, well, okay, this is a really neat story. So, um, a couple of years ago, I got invited to a wedding from one of my followers because
Hmm.
back in the very, very beginning, when I was still starting to grow, there was one person who had followed me and was really following my stuff, and ended up sending me and my girlfriend at the time invitation to their wedding. So we drove all the way across the country to Wisconsin, of all places, to go to a wedding of somebody who I'd never met before, and it was just the coolest experience. The family all knew who we were, and like a whole bunch of their friends knew us and knew me, and knew all the content that I created. And I don't know, if I hadn't have done anything on TikTok or Instagram or anything like that, I would have never had that cool opportunity. And that was really, really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was definitely a little like jarring, kind of like starstruck kind of moment for you, right? Like this is it kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's really, really neat. And like, every now and then, it doesn't happen very often, but once in a while you'll see somebody like on the street, or like if I'm going to an event and somebody will come by and be like, "Oh, I really like your content. It's really cool." And that just, I don't know, it just sticks with me. It's
Hmm.
that's why I do this. I don't do it for the popularity. I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for any of that stuff. I do it because I want people to just have fun when they're watching my videos, and just have a laugh, enjoy it, and move on with their day.
That's awesome. And I'm sure your followers appreciate that as well. It's a really great message.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you want the audience to know about you or your platform or anything like that before we sign off?
I mean, I just want us to all have fun. If I can make you laugh and make you have fun for about 3 minutes of your day, that's all I'm asking for. And if you enjoy the content, drop a follow and hang around for the ride, because we're gonna keep pushing, we're gonna keep going.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dalton, for joining me. For everyone watching this video, you can read MassLive's full feature story on social media influencers across the state of Massachusetts, where you will see Dalton on that list as well. And we will link all of his socials so you can follow along with his content. Again, thank you so much for joining, and we are going to sign off. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.